Hello, Shlok. Welcome. I'm extremely happy that we were able to have you here today because you're currently in US. So for you, it's early morning, right? So stealing a few minutes of your time just to hear about your experience with GMC registration, what you went through basically, and how it turned out, because it's a very important topic for a lot of graduates and students right now. And basically, at the beginning of the year, at the end of 2020 and the beginning of 2021, when the transition period for Brexit ended, a lot of emails started to flood into our mailboxes regarding the fact that GMC has changed its approach to applications of our graduates for the registration. They have been refusing quite a few of them, and they have been requesting further information and details and documents. So we started looking into it, right? It was you and quite a few of your colleagues who had some trouble with their applications and the documents they required for the registration. We finally have some good info about the whole process and the way it turned out. So I thought it would be a great idea if you could share with the others who are still in the process of preparing for it or are thinking about it, that they want to do it in the future, just so they know what they're up against and what was the whole mess about. Yeah? So if you could please tell them what is it that happened to you, because you were applying at the end of the year, right? At the end of 2020. And then what came next and what's the situation right now? That would be great. Thank you so much.
Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. I don't know which of you or how many of you are there, but
15
how
at the
many of you?
moment.
Okay, perfect. Um, I happened to apply before Brexit and after Brexit. I had to make two applications. But so because before Brexit, as an international medical graduate, that is being non-European, we required to do the PLAB. So I finished the PLAB in November and I applied straight away. And I had a month and a half to go before the Brexit transition was going to end. So according to the old laws, I applied and they straight away closed my application saying that I don't have enough experience. That is, I don't have a 12-month internship because our sixth year doesn't equate to exactly 12 months. It's somewhat shorter, but we do state exams, we have time for prep leave and all of that. So that was a problem. After Brexit, they took off the PLAB requirement for everybody. However, the rest of the rules remain the same. So, the law has remained the same for international medical graduates. There's been no change in applications for us. There's only been changes for people who were of European origin or who held European nationalities because before they did not have to submit a lot of documents. They just have to, give in their degree and they would get registered. And that was because the European directive, I don't know if you're all familiar, but there's a European directive which recognizes professional qualifications all across the European Union. I think it's EC slash 35, 36 slash 2005, something of that sort. I'm gonna share all these details at a later date. I wrote Pablo already, but that directive basically gave the privilege of auto recognition of qualifications to European graduates. So the European graduates did not need to verify their degree or have any sort of communication with the GMC. All they had to do was submit their degree, and the GMC would do the rest because the European system was all interlinked. But after Brexit, that's after 1st of January, even the European graduates will not have this. So they will be considered as international medical graduates as well. So there's no point in talking about what happened before Brexit because although nothing's changed for international medical graduates, a lot has changed for European graduates. So not having to do the PLAB in a way is okay. You can look at it as a positive because it'll save you time during the application. But the documentation has not really changed. So first of all, after you graduate, you're going to have to do the IELTS, which is the English exam, or you need to do it before you graduate, however you like it. Um, and the basic score that the minimum score that you need to get is a 7 in all of the four components and a 7.5 um, as a total aggregate. So you need to get more than 7 in few of the components to make up for the the point 0.5 that you need to get extra. After you do that, it's before the European graduates could just apply with the letter that university gave us, which said that you've graduated. I don't think that's going to be possible anymore because you need to get your qualification recognized, and that there's a process called primary source verification. If you go on the GMC website, it clearly states what you need to do. So you after you get your degree, that's on the day of your graduation, you'll get it translated because it'll be in Latin. After you've gotten it translated, you'll have to make an Epic account, which is with the ECFMG, which is the same process that you would follow if you were to apply it to the United States. And after you've done all of this, you upload your degree, they verify it, it goes back to the university. The university approves that yes, you've been granted this degree. Only then can the GMC actually start your registration process. So if you don't have an Epic ID and you apply for registration, they will shut your application within 28 days if you do not get your processes in order. So I would recommend that don't rush. It's not a race to the finish line. Make sure that your documents are in order, have your IELTS, do your primary source verification, and then you apply. Now there is a chance. Uh, I mean, not a chance. It is going to happen. You're all going to get asked for internship details, which before only the international medical graduates got asked, and the Europeans didn't because, like I mentioned earlier, their qualifications were getting directly recognized. So if they were getting full registration in Czech Republic, they were supposed to get full registration in England, or in Germany, it would be the same in England. So that's not the case anymore. So they're going to ask you to provide your internship details. There'll be a table on the GMC online form that you will need to fill out with every rotation that you've done, where you've done the rotation, and the duration. So for those of you who've done the rotations outside of the Czech Republic, you will have to answer a few questions from them because they are going to ask you why did you do it and how were you allowed to do it and all of that. So you'll require to tell us that get a letter from the study department that you had your that form signed where both the parties, our university, our university hospital, as well as the hospital that you went to, approved and all of that. So that's the process that we had to do, and it took us time. So I got shot down directly the first time. The second time I had support. Ram, for those of you who know him, he had applied before me because since my application was shut, I told him that I'm gonna wait it out for some time before I know what's actually going on. So they didn't have to do the flap because they did the first part. Like when I say they, it's Ram, Neil, Maria. I know you've all been talking to them, but they did the first part. They did not do the second part because they were exempted from it. Um, so they applied, and Ram had a similar, question coming from the GMC as to how were you able. I mean, you don't have a satisfactory internship, so we can't register you. And they sent us to they sent us to the assistant registrar, which is basically some higher authority in the GMC hierarchy, and we had to prove it to them that we have enough experience equivalent to an FY1 student in order to get registration. So that process took a really long time because the GMC has these typical processing times, and they weren't exactly efficient in the Brexit post Brexit period. But what in the end resolved the issue was Ram and I got in touch with the Czech Medical Chamber because the GMC did not want to talk to anybody else from the Czech Republic. It was either the ministry or the medical chamber. And the medical chamber website clearly states that we can work as assistant physicians after we graduate. So they wanted to seek some clarification as to what that means. because they did not know what level of supervision we require and all of that. So the Czech Medical Chamber was kind enough to issue a letter, which we don't know what the content of it was, but they issued a letter stating that we are competent enough to work independently, and that is why the issue got resolved for us. So most likely there shouldn't be a problem from now on, because they've seek the clarification, and there's been formal communication between the two medical licensing authorities. Um, but I cannot vouch for this fact, because there's their whole behavior has been very erratic throughout this period. So it can go one way or the other. Um, but we can hope for the best, and you can also email them. I'm sure they said that they would put out a formal notice, but I don't think they've done that, and they never updated their website. Their website from day one always claims that graduates from Czech Republic are only eligible for full registration. So that's the basic. Now, why not take a provisional registration? It's very important that every one of you understands that it's not as simple as taking an F1 or an F2 post, because we are not graduating in England, so we're not in the system directly. We're somehow trying to penetrate the system, and we cannot just say that, oh, if I take a provisional registration, I can do an F1 post, because that F1 post has to be in the UK Foundation program, and we won't be applying for the. Or you can apply, but I'm sure most of you haven't applied for the UK Foundation program, so you can't take up any F1 post that is advertised on NHS Jobs, for example, with a provisional registration. It has a lot of restrictions. So even to do an F1 post from NHS Jobs, you will require a full registration. So I would highly recommend that you guys, whoever is interested in applying to the UK, do your research, find out what the foundation program is, which posts we are eligible for, because we are eligible for equivalent posts, not the posts that the foundation doctors in the UK get straight after graduating. For you to get that with a provisional registration, you'll have to apply a year in advance. You'll have to do the situational judgment test and all of that, and only then can you take up an F1 post with provisional registration. So make sure that you don't jump on the provisional registration, because once you take it for 3 years and some months, uh, you cannot apply for full registration. You get that time to basically finish your foundation, F1 that is, and then apply for a full registration. So I think these are the questions that got from a lot of people, and I try to clear. If you guys have any more questions, I'm happy, because I was pretty quick through that, and I don't know how clear I was, because I know there are a lot of intricacies that I did not understand as a student. I thought just graduating and finishing my PLABs would get me the registration, because I've completed all the requirements, but it wasn't that simple. There was a lot of laws involved and bureaucracy, and I don't know, like all of a sudden they sent me a link of the Medical Act of the United Kingdom, and I had to go through the whole act, because they told me that they're dismissing under so and so clause, and that clause actually read that I need to have 12 months of experience. So all of these things you don't find out when you're a student, because we're too busy, trying to finish the state exams and trying to do well in them. But since it's happened, I had nobody ahead of me who I could have contacted. So Ram and me, we just had to, we were just in the just trying to navigate somehow and get to the end. But yeah, it all worked out. So that's that. Okay,
Thank you so much. You mentioned that you went for it quite quickly, but I think that you have covered like a lot of very important information for them in those few minutes. Very crucial stuff that everyone needs to hear, whether they are considering going to UK and registering right this year after graduation or later on. As you already mentioned, GMC always is a little bit tricky when it comes to communication and searching the information on your own. That's why it has been a problem also for us to navigate this whole situation. We have discussed also together and with your colleagues too that our faculty is not a problem that would be pertaining just to our faculty. It's actually all of the faculties of medicine in Czech Republic and across Europe as well, because it's just based on the fact that UK has stepped out of European Union and now GMC can basically do whatever they want. They are making their own conditions and they are deciding them as they go, apparently. That's why it was so difficult to navigate the situation.
Yeah. So like you said, yes, after Brexit, it's all changed for the European graduates. But I mean, the international medical graduates, that's whoever was non-European, they would have to go through this process anyway. Because I went through the process before Brexit, so I had to do it through both the ways, and it was no different for me. I had to do the same thing, but since we kind of pushed, and we got the CMC involved, and we asked them to write a letter and all of that. They realized that okay, something's going wrong. Otherwise, they were not willing. With me, they thought it was a one-off. They shut me down straight away. They did not even ask any questions. They did not ask why it's short or anything. They did not bother checking with the university. So that was the situation. But I'm glad that because there was a couple of us, we could do something and ask them to look further as to what is going on, really.
Yeah, actually, like on our side, we made a lot of effort and appeals to get this moving through the university itself, the rectorate, and also the Association of Deans of Medical Faculties, which is now very active. And that's something when all of the deans of the medical faculties from Czech Republic request some action on the side of GMC and they just dismiss it basically because we got a letter back and you saw it too that they basically referred us to the web page and said like we don't really care much, you have the conditions on the web. So it was very hard, and in the end, as you said, it was Czech Medical Council who had something to say that they finally listened to.
Another thing, it's good that you reminded me. So a lot of you might be just talking to the contact center, and trust me, the contact center does not know what's going on the back end. So whilst we were talking to the registrar, whilst our applications were with the registrar, and we were sending out emails and proofs and all sorts of things every day in and day out, the contact center had no clue about the communication. So if you ask them, they would still tell you, yes, you're eligible for full registration, because they just look at the website and they're only asked to, give certain amount of information. So if you give any references, if you use names, they will tell you, oh no, it's for confidentiality reasons, we can't discuss this or we can't do that. So it's not going to help talking to the contact center. They really are clueless, even for like higher, associates. So when I was with the registrar, which is almost like at the top, the applications department was still telling me that, oh, well, you're eligible for full registration. If you apply, this is what will happen. That is what will happen. And my application was being considered. There was an investigation going on. So I was going with the investigations team. Applications team has no clue. So there was no communication between the departments. So don't expect whatever you hear from the contact center to be the final word, because we were told, I have email communication, I have chat communication, I have recorded calls that I sent, the email chat I sent to them saying, hey guys, this is what your people have told me. And they said, oh, we're really sorry for the inconvenience caused. And they will refer to you as customers, which is even more annoying because you're doctors, you're not customers, But they're like, oh, if you're not satisfied with our customer service, you can launch a complaint or do something of that sort. So that's what you will get by talking to the contact center. So I would not take their word for, for anything for that matter, because from my experience, they really have no clue as to what's going on at the back end. Yeah, so
Well,
thanks
that's
for
great to hear. That's
Yeah.
great to hear. Thank you. But
Okay, there
yeah,
are a couple of questions.
yeah.
So just
Get
take
to
them.
it.
Yeah. So Divya is saying for the Epic verification GMC registration, is there any way to speed up the process? So see, I had to do the PLAB. I anyway had time on my hand. I was in no hurry. I wasn't even expecting to get registered now. So luckily I got the dates because of COVID, everything's been deranged, you know. But I didn't do it with the letter. I waited for the diploma anyway because I got my diploma and I had my PLAB after that. So I'm not sure if the letter from university is going to be enough, because at some point you are going to have to submit a translated copy of your diploma, which is approved by Epic. So maybe initially they will accept a letter if they feel like that's something they can consider, or they might not. But like I said, it's not a race, so just take it easy. Just figure it out. You're going to be exhausted after you finish sixth year. Just take some time out. Second question she has: could you list out the extra documents GMC asked you so that maybe we could prepare? There's nothing you can prepare in advance, unfortunately, because they only put out a list of documents. They ask you for four things. They ask you for a passport, they ask you for your IELTS certificate, they ask you for your translated diploma, and I forgot the fourth one. But that's all you need to submit to begin with. And it's not a lot because you have all of these documents when you graduated. But then they start throwing, and they'll always use that we assess applications on a case by case basis. So even if you say, hey, like, so me and Ram were in the same boat, we're like, hey, Ram, not using names, but if you say my colleagues going through this, so I'm not going through the same thing, they'll say, oh no, it's case by case. So they would ask you different documents. Ram got asked certain things, I didn't get asked them. I got asked certain things, Ram did not get asked. So you can't really prepare in advance. You just have to, after you submit, that's when you'll know what they're going to ask you.
Since we're
Okay.
talking about the documentation, I will just briefly point out that we have Professor Rudolph, the Vice Dean for Study Programs in English, with us right now at this meeting, and he has some additional information about the documents that the faculty can issue for those who are applying for registration with GMC then later on, because there have been different routes. Your experience, as you mentioned, it's very individual. So you have one experience, and then students at other faculties have different experiences, and by different routes we received different sort of information. So it was also verified that there is a certain confirmation of the curriculum and the practices that you have throughout the study that you can submit confirmed with a stamp from the faculty. But that's no one ever knows whether it will be required ever again or whether it will have any value in the future. We just know that some of the students got the registration also with the help of this, and that we have way of providing this. So then if Professor Rudolph will have a chance to give us some further info later on, then we will get to it.
Yeah, sure. Okay, should I continue or is he here right now?
Yeah, let's do the next question.
Okay, so just to clarify, Doctor, did you work in the Czech Republic after graduation? And if not, for registration. So short internship is no longer an issue. Right. So I did not work in the Czech Republic. I've been doing observerships, so internships after I graduated. And yes, the short internship was, I mean, is still an issue, but it was resolved by a letter from the Czech Medical Chamber. Our internship is not 12 months, that all of you know, but that is the case with most European nations. And all this while, that was never questioned, because when Europeans applied, like I mentioned, they got their degrees directly recognized by the GMC, which no longer happens. That's why the internship is, being, so all of these years, the GMC was just turning a blind eye. They were not really investigating as to whether we have enough experience or do we not? At least for the Europeans. But for internationals, they were doing it. And I spoke to a lot of people. I read on a lot of forums. A lot of people just gave up. They didn't. They took provisional registration. They were like, okay, fine, I'll do the foundation program. Or they just decided to go to another country because JMC said that you don't have enough experience. Whilst their friends who were Europeans were still getting registered. So it was very unfortunate. And a lot of my friends, a lot of people that I met, because I did these PLAB courses, went through this process, and it was very discriminatory. But that is what was happening, and that's the law. So for us, even though the internship was short, it was accepted. I don't know if it is safe to say that it's no longer an issue because they can ask you again as to why your internship is short, and you might have to go through the same process that we went through. I think Romel's question is along the same lines. Is our current pre-say practice sufficient for 12 months internship requirement? Do we need green logbook or does the uni need to provide? You can use either. So either before you submit your green book, you'll have to submit your green book to the study department at the end. So ITCA always tells you take photos or scans or everything. So do that because not only the GMC, a lot of other organizations might ask you for your green book. So take photos, but it's really up to you whether you want to submit your green book or a letter. So I submitted my green book, and they asked me a few questions. So I also had to get a letter from uni confirming that yeah, I did so and so so many months and all of that. So either way, and about the first question, Romel, it's again the same thing. We don't know if that is if it's sufficient. It's not 12 months. That much we know. If it's sufficient, well, that letter might have proved it to them that yes, it is sufficient. But what the content of the letter was, neither of the bodies have told us. We asked the JMC, they didn't tell us. We asked the Czech Medical Council, they said, unfortunately, we can't disclose that information. So we don't know what's in that letter. Okay, so the new rule is that we are not eligible to apply for the same positions as local graduates. We have to apply for other positions. Is that what you want to do? No, 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 no. That's not what I said. It's always been the same. There's no new rule when it comes to applications. You can still apply for the foundation program, but you need to put in your applications a year ahead. So if if you want to start working in August 2022, uh, which is next year, you would have to apply this year in July 2021 or August 2021. That's when the application will be for the official foundation program, starting with F1, F2. So in that case, you will have a 2-year rota given to you. You will have a foundation body. You'll be, in the system basically. For that, you have to apply a year in advance. In December, you'll have to do the SJT. Um, yeah, so in order to apply right now for 2022, you would already need to do your IELTS because without that you cannot put in your application via Oriel. There are also F2 standalone posts which open up that you can apply, even after you've started working or anything. But those posts again, they have to be, you need to put in your application a year ahead. That is what I was saying. The other posts you can apply anytime. So like now we're in the middle of May and I want to start working next month. So if something opens up on NHS jobs, I can apply to it provided I have full registration. That is why I said that don't take provisional, because if you go on forums and read as an IMG, taking provisional registration is pretty much a dead end. You will not get posts very easily. There are no LAT posts which they want you to take up. So you would be stuck and you'd probably have to go to another country unless you wait it out for a year, year and a half. Because there are only so many F1 posts that come out every year. And those are usually taken up by UK graduates because they have better, I wouldn't say better, but their credentials are more in sync with what they want. Ours are not. We don't do audits, we don't do other things which they do, which probably make their application better than ours. So yeah, although if you compare knowledge, if you compare other things, maybe I would say that maybe we are better off. But yeah, PLAB would be required again starting 2023. No, it wouldn't be PLAB. There's going to be a change. It's going to be UK MLA, and I think the date they're quoting right now is 2024, but I don't know if that's gonna. I mean, currently because of Brexit, everything's chaotic, so I don't know if they'll pull through. But 2024, yes, and that would be for everybody, Europeans, UK, or any other passport holder who's applying from outside the UK. That's right, yeah. Could you give us examples of extra documents you were asked for specifically? Right, so I was asked for, so I did a part of my internship in India, like the 6th year in India. So I had to provide a letter as to, our uni lets us do that. And I had to give them, there'll be these letters that the department will issue as well to the hospital that you're going to. I had to do that. And then, see, I went through a completely different process because I was with the registrar. So I had to prove to them as to I'm capable of getting full registration. So I acquired a couple of documents, what I thought was, would make my case stronger. So I got a letter from uni saying whenever I got the scholarships, I got a letter issuing that my grade point average and stuff like that, which I thought would make me look individually would make me look competent enough, but that wouldn't be applicable to a collective. What was applicable to the collective was that letter from CMC, because Ram also got asked these questions, and Ram had letter of recommendations from different professors from our uni, for example, which I didn't ask because I didn't have that much time. I only had like around a week to submit all the documents. Just applying for an F2 standalone, or just wait for registration and then see a suitable position. I mean, it's not. I don't know when you're graduating, but you can apply for F2 standalone before you graduate now. I couldn't apply because I had to do the PLAB. If you're graduating next year, if you're graduating this year, for example, and you wanted to start in August 2021, you should have already applied for F2 standalone in December. If you haven't applied, you've missed that train. If you're graduating next year, look out, apply for the F2 standalone opening this December, and yeah, go through the application process, go through interviews. It's a good experience, even if you don't get it. And if you don't get it, then just get full registration and apply for jobs that open up on NHS Jobs, for example. So yeah, do your research, and I think there are a lot of videos on YouTube, or you can always talk to us. There's me, there's Ram, there's Neil, Maria. We're all going through this process right now. Yeah. Any more questions, maybe?
We had some comments on Facebook relating to like applying to cardiology in 2023, but I see this as very specific, and we're not really psychics. We cannot see what happens in 2 years within GMC.
So I would like to clarify that as well. So applying for jobs is completely independent of getting GMC registration. We're talking about the registration process. They're two completely different bodies. NHS and GMC are not the same. So after you get your registration, applying for jobs is a whole different process. The two are not. I mean, if you don't have registration, you can't apply for jobs, obviously. You can't take up a job. You can obviously apply for jobs. You can apply for jobs right now if you're graduating. I'm sure some of you already have, and you could probably have offers and jobs in hand as well, which I did as well, but then I didn't get registration, so I had to give them up. So just don't think about jobs for now. We're just talking about registration.
Thank you for clarifying that. That's an important point as well. So if we don't have any more questions in the chat, we might check in with Professor Rudolph if he's with us, if he wants to add something regarding the process or the documents on our side.
Hi, hello everyone. Do you all hear me, please? Very well. Okay. Hello, Schlag. How are you?
Hi, Sam.
Hopefully you're doing fine. Anyway, I want to just add very briefly. some of the, I believe the fifth year students approached me or our study department with the certain proofs that the colleagues or their contacts from the Prac 1 or perhaps Prac 2 or faculties, or actually graduates from the faculties, that were able to secure the GMC registration while providing the proof of their 12 months internship. And they showed the screenshots of the documents, and they asked, requested whether we could, our faculty could provide the same thing. And I discussed with the head of the study department, and we see no problem with that. Actually, what they did at these schools, if this is true, is they copied the curriculum of the 5th and 6th year. They exactly stated, I mean, you take practical classes in the 5th year and the 6th year, especially the ones which would be classified as the ones belonging to the subjects that require the this internship, and they simply copied and said, okay, starting in the winter semester of the 5th year, this week they had I don't know, this experience in ophthalmology, this, and all that, just exact curriculum, and together that topped up to 12 months, including the 6th year, of course, the rotations. And they claimed that with this sort of paper or document from the faculty, they got the registration. I don't know any further details whether this actually document, which on purpose says that it's actually 12 months experience, which I don't think is really true, but anyway, on the paper it looks like a 12 months. Whether this was the direct reason why they got the registration straight, or whether this was just another way how to enhance, the letter from the chamber of the Czech medical chamber or thing, but they claimed that it was so. So I said, okay, our faculty, we could issue this document if the students would will or would wish. We could just confirm it, but because it's confirming curriculum, next to documents we issue to students, that is like the typically like the proofs of the state exams and things. But beyond that, I don't know myself whether this will help extra or not, because as far as I just heard the Schlag's the talk, I might have the impression that truly the GMC does very individual evaluation, and nobody knows what is their way, as they say, case by case. This may well be influenced by many other factors, and none of us are in control of. So it could be like very easily passport, it could be name, it could be just individual faculty, and nobody could be prepared for it. So I guess what message I got from the Schlag's address was that you prepare whatever is the basic requirements and then brace yourself. And just either you will make it, or you will make it with the difficulties, or there will be some obstacles and you have to be prepared for them, or you will give them up, or just you will continue. There is no other way. And there doesn't seem to be any other way we at the faculty level could further speed up and hence support the process, maybe with a few couple of papers, but again, their value is questionable in my opinion. So this is just what I could just add to that point. I have nothing else, because frankly speaking, I'm quite disappointed with the GMC approach, or actually approaching the people with the GMC. And I cannot see any way through which we could make it more standard, straightforward, or guaranteed that whoever does these papers and that things would get for sure secured registration. That seems to be like a game of power or something.
Thank you for that addition. Yeah, comment?
Yeah, so like Professor Rudolph said, I had a friend who I met when I was doing my lab courses from first faculty, and she tried something similar. When she applied for registration, she got a letter from the university adding 5th year subjects as well, just to make it look 12 months. But they were not satisfied with that, so I don't think that's worked. I personally believe that the only thing that worked was that they were satisfied when the Czech medical chamber somehow told them that, see, these guys are competent enough to work independently in a hospital setting, because we do our state exams, and it is clearly mentioned on the website of, I think, our university as well, and of the Czech Medical Council as well, that when we do our state exams and we pass them successfully, we are competent enough to work in all of those specialties without supervision. So I think that's what they clarified when in that letter, and I think that's what worked. So just to add to Professor Rudolph, that's it.
Yeah, thank you. I'm inclined to believe that too, because quite a lot of things were happening at the same time.
Yeah.
So at certain point, it was difficult to discern which was the decisive one, which was
Exactly.
the one that made the change on the side of GMC. And I myself too believe that it was probably the the action on the side of Czech Medical Council, because we're still like the issue is about the fact that you guys are eligible to start working after your graduation here in Czech Republic, and that we answer to certain European standards, and that didn't change just with UK stepping out of European Union, right? So we're basically discussing standards again, like reopening the topic. So I suppose it really, the fact that Czech Medical Council Chamber vouched for your professional standard and for your qualification might have better standing than the documents from individual faculties and that kind of stuff. But if in future it seems that something like that would be beneficial, as Professor Rudolph mentioned, we never know what may sway them. If they have further inquiries, then this is possible, and we will just be trying. Yeah.
Yeah, just another thing. I would say that try not to trap yourselves, because the more documents you give, the more explanations they'll ask you. So I would not recommend personally adding any fifth year rotations, because um that's just gonna call for scrutiny. They're gonna ask you a lot of questions as to, oh, so you only did 2 weeks in ophthalmology and they were split between the first week and the last week. So how does it work? Or how does, why wasn't it continuous? And then you're gonna get flustered, because every time you see an email from them, you start panicking. So I would say just stick to giving 6 year subjects and hope that the letter from Czech Medical Council has solved everything. And I think it has, so you shouldn't have issues, because trust me, just giving more documents is asking for trouble.
Okay.
Like that's my personal advice. You want to go make it look 24 months, 36 months, you can do, because we start doing clinical subjects from summer of fourth year, and then after that is just rotations. So you can technically, we do 2.5 years of clinical experience. You can add all of that right from neuro, but I would not recommend it.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. If possible, keep it as simple as possible, right? But if they require something, this is like the last resort. You can turn to requiring some further paperwork that will support your case. But always like stick with the minimum, and fingers crossed, all will go fine. And yeah, we will see. Like at this point, there is no way of telling what it will look like for the next upcoming graduates this year. But we really hope it will stick, the resolution of your case and the ones that followed, that it is equivalent and it is to be recognized.
Yeah, I think it should stick. I don't see a problem, because I think they have a few answers from whatever's happened, and I really don't think that anyone's going to have an issue. Like, let's hope that they don't have an issue. But yeah, I provided the explanation about how we started our training back in third year with physical exam, and added up the hours and made tables and charts and gave it to them. But I don't think any of you need to do that. So just steer clear from that. Just give 6th year information and you should be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
We have,
On average,
yeah.
I'll just answer these two, and then I think I need to go to work. So,
Yeah.
On average, how long does it take? It's very individual. Like Professor Rudolph said, it's super individual. Some of you might get it in 5 days. You apply on Monday, on Friday, you receive an email, congratulations, welcome to the UK register. Some of you might take a few months. So it really depends on who opens your application, what scrutiny that person decides to, run, and all of that. So with me, my first application was shut very quickly. Like within a week and a half, they just shut my application, and I was like, okay, process is done. Second application, on the other hand, obviously we went through a lot more. We had to jump through a lot more hoops the second time, but I applied somewhere in mid-Feb, and I got my registration on the 8th of April, so a month and a half. um, that was my processing time. Ram applied in Jan, got it on the same day as me, so his was a month extra. I've heard some people take 6 months. I've heard some people take 8 months. So don't. That's why I'm saying don't set this. It's not a race. Don't set a deadline. It's official work. In your own countries as well. Government offices, for example, in India, take a lot of time. This is not government, this is a charity, but it's still bureaucracy, so you got to be more patient with them. Um, okay. English program graduates can work after graduation, but there's usually the condition passing Czech language exams.
Yeah, that's a different story altogether. That's about working in Czech Republic in general after graduation.
Yeah, I think I'm not going to answer that because I don't think that's relevant. Did you apply for the visa after getting the registration? So you can't apply for the visa. Okay, I think is quite. No, don't worry about it, Cyrus. So Alex's question. Uh, I think it's important. So visa. I don't know how things have changed for Europeans. Before, they did not require a visa to work in the UK. The UK passport holders obviously did not require a visa. But everybody else, we required a tier 2 visa before, which is now changed into the health and care visa. And there have been some exemptions and some considerations because they do require doctors. So that's with the Home Office. That information can be found on gov.uk website, and I would recommend that you all look into that. But you can't apply for a visa right away. You got to first get a job. You need someone to sponsor your visa because we are going to their country, right? So they have taken off the conditions where they used to prioritize UK or European graduates before. They're saying that you'll all be treated equally. That's no matter who the applicant is, they'll consider your application on a level playing field and see if you're really worthy of the job. But I don't know how that works. I think if you require visa sponsorship, you still might get be put at certain amount of disadvantage because they have to do a lot more for you. They have to sponsor your visa. They have to give you a letter of sponsorship, which you need to provide to the Home Office. But that's a different process. So first get your registration, then you apply for jobs. Once you have a job, you get a letter of sponsorship with which you apply for the visa. So that's the process. Now that reminds me, when I said do the IELTS has got a British Council version and a UK VI version, which is the UK visas and immigration version, which will just give you a UK VI ID. So when I did it, the condition was that for the GMC purposes, I could do any of the two. It didn't really matter. And now the OET as well. But when it came to applying for visa with UK VI, if you've done the British Council one, you would have to do the UK VI one once again. And their basic score is only 4 or something, but you need to do that to have the number. So I would recommend that for those of you who are doing it, check the gov.uk website if you require the UK VI one. And if you do, then just do that one because then you will just have to do the IELTS once and not twice. Yeah. So just look that up. I'm not sure how that works now.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I understand that you're in a rush. It's early morning for you, so you still have the whole day ahead of you. Thank you so much for giving us this time. It was very helpful. A lot of great information. You guys, if you have further questions, just drop them in the chat. We will then communicate with Schlock whether we can answer them or whether we can perhaps maybe meet up again or invite other graduates, whether you are interested in other topics. But
yeah, you can ask Ram or Neil or anybody to do a talk as well. I'm sure they'll be more than glad to help out.
Perfect. Thanks for the tip.
Yeah. So
all of you,
individual perspectives, it'll be nicer, I guess.
True. It will be actually great to get more of you together and like exchange experience and opinions about this thing. Okay, I see this as a great success. Thank you so much for meeting us and sharing so much. It was perfect. I hope you have a great day. Wish you best of luck in
Thank you.
US, and warmest regards from HK and from Hradec. We miss you.
Yeah,
Take care.
I mean, I miss you too. So anyway, I miss HK, guys. You'll miss it
Thank
when you're
you.
gone. Yeah. All right.
Bye.
Anyway, bye.